I am so thrilled to invite a good partner of the center, Becky Cates from Becky Cates Development Consulting, to talk to us about Little Green Light. I'm going to stop sharing and she can take it from here. Welcome, Becky.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That feels a little bit like drinking from the fire hose, but that was amazing. I've been a member of the New Hampshire Center for Nonprofits for years and years and years, and I didn't even know about like 60% of those benefits. So I'm super excited. I'm taking notes. And I'm really excited. I've known about Little Green Light as a benefit for a long time, and I'm really excited now as a consultant for nonprofits and fundraising to share my love of Little Green Light and databases in general. So I will share my screen. Now that we have that over, what I want to make sure that everyone understands is that this is not a training for Little Green Light. It's more me being a car salesperson and introducing you to all the fabulous things that Little Green Light does. I do not get a commission, but you do get $100 off on your membership when you go through your New Hampshire Center for Nonprofit membership. And it's a true bargain. It's pretty awesome. So the question is, by the way, also ask questions at any time, just unmute yourself and ask. That would be fantastic. Question is, why do you need a database? Why can't we just use spreadsheets? Well, what does a database do? You want to track who gives you money. You want to track who you want to give you money. Who are you or who did you invite to an event? It syncs with, it can sync with MailChimp and Constant Contact. You can figure out who should get your appeal letter, who gave you a sponsorship, for what and for how much. It also tracks any LIBUNTs or SIBUNTs, and LIBUNT is people who gave last year but not this year, and SIBUNTs is some year but not this year. And that's a really great way to segment out your database, or your donors, I should say, so that you can more closely customize an appeal letter or an ask for them. You can do grant tracking. You also want to know, are there installments for their gift, whether it's a grant or a sponsorship or a donation. You can do year-over-year reports in databases. You can also have them create and organize your acknowledgement letters based on whatever they gave, whether it's in kind or if it's money or capital. It can sync, some can sync with QuickBooks. And then running any report on your data whatsoever. My feeling is a database is useless if you put information in and you can't get the information back out. So for me, any database starts at its reporting capabilities. Okay, so that's what databases can do. So, all right, so you realize spreadsheets are not okay, but specifically, why should we use Little Green Light? For one thing, Little Green Light can do all of the things we just talked about. And then plus 3 more really great reasons. One is the pricing. If you look up the pricing, it's incredibly reasonable. It's based on the number of records you have, and you can always do a Google search, Little Green Light pricing, and it comes right up. So it's very affordable for what you get without question. This database itself can look very, very simplistic, but it's also extraordinarily detailed the more you get into it. So it looks very surface simplistic, and you can just use it on that surface. But if you really want to get your money's worth, you'd want it to be able to take advantage of its functionality, like the acknowledgement letters and things like that. And then one of the greatest things about Little Green Light, I swear to you, is the ability to undo. And most databases don't give you that ability. So if you were to import data into the database, very often before you do that, you have to take a backup of your entire database, so that if you import your data and then you decide you imported it incorrectly, you have to go back and restore the database that you had already saved. For Little Green Light, it's just undo, and it is the most magical thing. It has saved me just countless times. So that is definitely something to take in consideration.
Becky?
Yeah.
There is a question. I know this was not part of your talk today, but is there a place to compare it with Bloomerang or other or other databases?
Yeah, you can definitely do a search and you can say Little Green Light versus Bloomerang. And there'll be random companies that come up with a comparison. Also, there's Facebook groups online, like I think it's the nonprofit Happy Hour. I think I never look at the names anymore. It's like I don't look at the street names. I just know where I'm going. But I think that's it. And if you just Google databases, then a whole bunch of posts will come up about people asking for the difference between Bloomerang or Donor Perfect or what have you. I have to say I've worked in a lot of different databases. It really comes down to ease of use and pricing. And for one of the reasons I'm such a groupie for Little Green Light is because it can do so much for so little money in comparison to some of the other ones. I mean, I took a demo of the database Virtuous, which is beautiful. I mean, it just is drool worthy. It's lovely, but it's out of price range for most nonprofits, and most nonprofits in New Hampshire, but most small nonprofits. It's gorgeous, but it's just not even possible. It's like, you know, the Aston Martin of databases.
It costs more than you raise.
It costs more than you raise. And they do say like over time you will raise more money, which is true, but you have to have that capital in the first place. And I think that's just something you build up to. So
Thank you.
you
There
can
was
do that
there was one
comparison.
more question,
Sure.
Becky. What do you mean that some but not all can sync with QuickBooks?
Some databases don't sync with QuickBooks, just they haven't created that capacity. I mean, I'm sure you could set up an API if you wanted to, but some don't have it as a regular function. And that is one thing that Little Green Light has, but not all databases do that. If that makes sense. All right, so just want to triple check. Is my end time 10:15?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Because I did have a list of 10 things that I love about Little Green Light, but I changed it to 8 because I really didn't think we had time for 10. Not even sure we have time for 8. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is give you an overview of some of the really cool aspects about Little Green Light. And for the slide deck, I did put screenshots in there, but you really aren't gonna get a good taste of it unless you see it real time. So I'm gonna stop this and share my screen. You can still see my screen, I hope. Okay, and if you need it to be bigger, let me know. But I
We
did
need
want
it to be bigger, I think.
You do? Okay, that's fine. And then let me just pull this up real quick. This one, and pull this down. Okay, so I did want to show you the Flex Importer. So the Flex Importer is, or I call it Flex Capacitor if you know you're from the 80s. But the Flex Importer is an incredible tool that allows you to import data directly into the database, and it allows you to match on fields. So if you were to, if I were to start a new import, I'm going to go choose a file. I'm sorry, choose a file. And if I did sample data, open, and then upload the file, it's just, I love this part. It's just so fun. It's working to upload the file. And what it's going to do, it's going to take all of the column headers in your spreadsheet and try to match it up to all of the fields in Little Green Light. Now, in this case, I used something that was spit out from Little Green Light, so of course it matched. But if it didn't, this is where you tell it to say, okay, well, addressee goes to a specific field. Maybe you want it to be the salutation, whatever. And so that's how you sort of make that one-to-one match so that when you upload it, the data goes in the right field. Nothing is worse than when you upload something and you realized you put like name in the address field instead. It's just awful. But again, if you happen to do that, you can hit undo, and it's truly just, I think it's fabulous. If you have any questions at any time, let me know. All right. The next one is forms. So just want to make sure I had this. Imports, forms. Okay, so the next one is forms. I cannot begin to explain how great forms are. Forms are great because they're what you use to communicate from a website and then have that information go directly into your data. And there's a bunch of different ways you can use forms. Obviously, one of the most common is to use it for your donation page. So I've been in situations where an organization might use, what was it? Give Friendly, Give Nightly, I can't even remember what it's called anymore. Give Monthly. I don't remember. But it was like a third party application in which you sign up, you pay money, and then it creates a form and you put that form in your website. And then when somebody donates, you get an email from that transaction. And where I was is they would take that email and they would print it out. And then the database administrator would then enter the data into Little Green Light. And what I had to say is it is the 21st century and that is just not needed. What you do is you create a form on Little Green Light and people enter that data in. I just made it pretty for fun. People enter the data in, and then that information goes directly into Little Green Light. So you don't have to worry about spelling a name wrong, or if they, spending the time to enter the data in separately from, say, like a spreadsheet. So if you were to use a third party, and I can't think of any of them right now, I try to block them out. You get at best you could get a report from them, and then you'd have to import that in. This takes that step out where they enter this information in, they go to the payment page, and then that goes directly into a Little Green Light submission queue. And you can see down here, I made a gift, I don't know, 2 days ago, I guess. And it matched on my email address, or did it? No, it didn't. I don't have a record in there with me, which is great. If I did, it would show up here as having matched on either my email or my name, whatever I told it to. But since it doesn't find a match, it's going to create a brand new record. Now, if you happen to know that that person's already in there, they just used a nickname or they used a different email address, you can go in and set the constituent yourself and go and find it so that you're not creating duplicate records. I set this up so that when somebody enters data into a form, whether it's a gift or anything else, that it does go into the submission queue so that I have to approve it. You can set it up so it goes into Little Green Light automatically, but I find, one, I want to see what's coming in this format. Two, it helps me understand if there are duplicates or if they did use a different email address, I can sort of be on top of that. So once it's in your submission queue, you can hit save. And then that information, this $103 gift with all my other information, is created into a record. Anytime now. And this is the record. And you can see, if you scroll down, there's my gift. Make sense so far? All right, so
there's a question about the forms.
So instead of directing people to the PayPal form link, use a form link through Little Green Light and the PayPal process through PayPal. Yes, absolutely. That's what's so great, is that instead of doing it through the PayPal form, Little Green Light automatically is already, where am I? Subscription settings, integration settings. I don't remember where it is. Little Green Light is already set up to work with PayPal and Stripe. And so you can actually, now it's, I'm going to go back to forms. Now it is also set up for, wait for it. I don't see, mine's test. I don't know if it'll do it, but mine is also set. You can also set it up for Apple Pay and Google Pay. So it has a lot of flexibility, and all of that will be processed through those processors, but you don't have to import that data into Little Green Light. It gets imported automatically. You can do a report from PayPal or Stripe or whatever, but you don't have to.
Is that included in your little green light fee or is that extra?
It's not extra, it's all included. It used to be like an additional 1% and they got rid of that. It's all included in the Little Green Light subscription. And do you pay extra for the integrations with MailChimp? You do not. So MailChimp, Constant Contact, QuickBooks, those are all included. Okay, so the forms are great. And I wanted to show you the gift form, but then I also wanted to show you, you can use it for, oh, you're welcome. You can use it for events. So let's say you have an event, and I didn't make this one pretty. You can have an RSVP. So you have an event and you say RSVP to our event, click on this link, and then you can set this form up however you want. And it's their name, their email address. You can make them required. Are they going? And tell us how great we are. Or it can say, if it says yes, are you bringing someone? And you can put that information in so that the forms are also responsive. So this is fantastic because that information, again, goes directly into Little Green Light. Do I remember if I've saved that? No, I don't remember whatsoever if I did that. Oh, I did. Yay, me. So I did use that one. Again, that was 2 days ago. I don't remember. So I am RSVPing to an event name called Super Fun Event. And I am RSVPing, or this Henry person, who's actually my cat, RSVP'd yes. And I'm going to save that. Okay, remember it was a super fun event. I have set that event up. Here is that super fun event on the events page. And it tracks how many invitations have been sent and then how many have RSVP'd. Sorry, I have to read it. There, 1 RSVP'd so far. If there are any gifts that came in from that event and you tagged that gift with the event name, it would show up. So for instance, this was a fancy lunch, and I think I'm ahead of myself, quite honestly, because what am I doing next after forms? Oh, I am doing events. Woohoo! This was a fancy lunch. They sent 5 invitations, 5 people RSVP'd, 5 people attended, and then those 5 people actually gave 5 gifts that totaled $2,500. And you can click on anything in blue, and that will take you to the 5 people that received the invitations, whoever RSVP'd yes, whoever actually attended, whoever actually gave you gifts, and what those gifts were. It's fabulous. What's also really great is that in this case, in the super fun event, 28 invitations were sent. Only 1 RSVP'd. These 27 people couldn't be bothered. You can actually select this and say, send an email to all these people to say, excuse me, I really need my food counts. I would really love it if you could at least tell me if you're going or not. So you can even send targeted emails based on how they responded. So if they said no, you can send an email to all of them and say, I'm so sorry you can't attend our event. I'm sure you still want to support us. Here is a link for you to do that. Or here is a video that we showed at that event, so that they feel included. We are thinking of moving to Constant Contact rather than MailChimp for the LGL integration. Do you have any insights on the Constant Contact integration? I'm not sure what insights you might be looking for, Denise. They operate, MailChimp and Constant Contact operate a little differently, but another aspect about Little Green Light that I truly adore is that they have an incredible help video repository. So they have articles and they have videos that can walk you through every single piece of the process. So I'm not sure what the conversion from MailChimp to Constant Contact would necessarily look like, because those would be in between those two. But conversion from syncing with Little Green Light is pretty straightforward. That's just in the integration settings. Oh, what's more often used? It's, oh my gosh, I think it's 50-50. Everybody has their preference. I prefer MailChimp. Some people prefer Constant Contact. I honestly think it's the grass is greener. no matter which way you go. Could one send nicely formatted email newsletters? So not exactly. That's a really great question. Not exactly. So Little Green Light does have the ability to send emails. I'm looking at my screen and seeing if I have anything up right now that I could use. Let's just do this. So I can send an email because you can see that these are hot links. And you can send a lot of emails, or you can send an email to a lot of people. However, Little Green Light is not meant to be a marketing email application. It's really meant for direct communication. So for instance, I use it again for events. You can use it to send appeals because that's basically a nicely formatted letter. You can use it to say, I invite you to, this donor information night. You can send it to individual donors to say, did you see this article? When you do send emails through Little Green Light, that information, again, is captured in the record. So you know what information they've been sent. You can also tell if they've looked at it or not, which is pretty awesome. However, it's not meant as a mass communication tool to like the 3,000 constituents that you have, or however many constituents that you have. That's more where MailChimp and Constant Contact come in. I hope that makes sense. All right, so we talked about events, how it's awesome. You can invite people, track the gifts, so you can tell the ROI. Event detail. What I really love is that you can see that you can set a target and you can see how much you've raised toward that target. So it's wonderful. Using Little Green Light for events, what I tend to do is create the invitation in Canva, save it as a PNG, and basically drop that PNG into an email from Little Green Light, so that you can't really create those beautiful graphics in Little Green Light, but you can certainly paste an image and then make that image a hot link to the form. So again, this isn't quite a training. I feel like I'm talking like the Micro Machines man right now, but I'm happy to help you understand this. I do a lot of training on this. So let me know if you need further information. Okay, how am I doing? Oh my gosh. See, I didn't think we'd get through all 8. Another aspect that's awesome about Little Green Light is the stewards and donor management aspect. So I'm sure that you know that the number one thing you need to do with all donors and prospects is communication. You need to keep in communication with them some way so that they're not used as an ATM, so that you're not just going to them to ask for money. You need to keep them engaged in the organization. And you can do that through, there's like so many trainings on this, and I do them obviously, but there's like a whole world of how to do that so that you don't go crazy, because it sounds insurmountable, but it's truly not. And this is from someone who's like perpetually lazy. So there's a way to do it and a way to set it up in Little Green Light so it's extremely easy, but you definitely want to track that. So another way to do it is to capture information as it's happening. And this is especially good for your development committee or your board, because sometimes when you say, hey, you had that phone call with that person and I'd love for you to capture it in the database, and they go, a data what now? And so no matter how many times you explain it, sometimes it's just not something, at the top of their mind. But what you can do is you can create another form that I so creatively called donor update. And, oh, did I have that? Yes, donor update. And so you can send them this link, or even more fun, you can save this as like an icon on their phones. Like it's basically just a shortcut to the web page. And so when they talk to somebody, say that they're out for coffee, or say that you're out for coffee or at a networking event, someone that I used to work with, she would, after a networking event, sit in her car and just fill this form out for every conversation that she had. And you just enter the donor's name, enter their email address, what kind of contact was it, what did you talk about, do they need a follow-up, And then if you want to include any of this additional information. Again, I made this responsive. So if it says yes, what is the follow-up that they requested? A phone call, a meeting, go to their baby shower? Like, what is it we need to do? And then when I mapped this form, I mapped it so it creates let me just make sure I did this, integration settings. Unsaved records, sorry. I created, donor update. When I map this, it creates a contact report in the constituent's record. And then it also, if it says, do we need to follow up, it creates a task. And I automatically assign that task to me and what that task is. So you've got your board member, your development person, or heaven forbid you fill out this form, it goes into Little Green Light, you hit save. It goes right into this person's record. If they don't have one, it sets one up. And then down here, it created the contact report, which I had indicated was an email. Met with Bucky. He's interested in learning more about the program, but he's going to be out of the country for the next 3 weeks. Follow up. And it creates a task. Follow up in 1 month. With a phone call, and I'm assigned it. And there's like task reports. Yeah, tell me about it, Karen. You can create task reports or whatever you want, but it's such a fantastic way to stay on top of donor communications, because begging your committee or your board to be like, make sure you write that down or email me, because then you have to copy and paste it. This is just so straightforward. It works out really, really well. And this is just one of the ways of steward and donor management. Okay, another steward and donor management, and let me just see if I actually have this up. Yes, yay, again, yay me. So you can do a search on your constituents, and then you can assign them all a steward. And what I had done is I had selected everyone that returned from that search. So say it's like everybody who attended event, or in this case, I think I said anyone who has like SA in their name. And you can say, all right, all these people I'm going to assign to a steward, or all these people I'm going to assign to a task. And that's called a bulk edit. And it is truly wonderful when you want to work with those constituents in a stewardship capacity. So you can say, all these constituents, I want to send an email to those constituents for, in this case, this steward. Where does that donor interaction form live? Oh, well, the donor interaction form, first you have to create it. And then you can, it ends up being a URL. Where am I? Forms. Donor update. So it's just a URL. And you can give them this lovely QR code if you want, but here is the URL that you can use. And when you click on that, it just opens up that separate page. Okay, so I love this aspect of assigning stewards to it, because that's really, really important in donor management. And to do that, you can do what's called a bulk edit. And for this bulk edit, you can update the steward, you could add a task, add a note, update their categories, say that they're all attendees to an event, or they're all board members, or they're all interested in the playground you're putting together, whatever it is. It's just lovely to not have to go in one by one. All right. I knew I was never going to make it. All right, what do we have next here? Acknowledgements. Okay. And then, all right. Acknowledgements. Everybody has to send acknowledgement letters. And what I know for some people is that they have a template, and then they might enter people's information in manually, or maybe they have a spreadsheet. I love Excel, don't get me wrong, or Google Sheets, but it has no place in this. And you do a mail merge. Little Green Light has it so that when you can create letter templates. I've created one for a pledge reminder and for a general acknowledgement. And when someone gives a gift, who gave a gift? Was that me? That was me. When someone gives a gift and you enter it in, you set the acknowledgement template that you want to use. So let's say general acknowledgement. Piece of cake. When you go to your acknowledgement section, you're going to look under your acknowledgement letters. Whoever you said is supposed to get that acknowledgement is going to show up here. So let's just pretend that number's 20, because I don't have time to go in and do 20. You know that those 20 people are going to get this particular letter. So I'm going to download it. I'm going to mark it as sent. I'm going to open it up so that you can see it on the wrong screen. Anytime now, Word. You just keep processing. And then this is, oh my God. There we go. And this is what it looks like. For what I wrote, this is just what I wrote. Super, super quick. It already put in all, I have it set up so it puts in the date, it puts in my address, my salutation, it puts in the amount of money, when I gave that gift, and you can put in anything that you want. You could have this set up to have your QR code to say, hey, for a pledge reminder, you can click here so that you can give us your installment. It can be more information with pictures if you want. It can have, you can set this up however you want. But what's so great is that all of these are now all set up for you. And all you have to do is print them off. You can edit them. So if you happen to see that it says Becky and you're like, oh, it's supposed to say Rebecca, you can edit it here because it is a Word doc. You can also, it spits out as a Word doc, but you can open it up in Google Docs as well. And it just makes acknowledgement letters so much easier. How fast am I going? Super fast.
We're gonna have to wrap it up. There are a couple of questions in
Okay.
in there. Can
All
you
right.
use LGL to maintain volunteers?
You can. There is a way to maintain volunteers. You can select them as being a group of volunteers, and you could put in the number of hours that they have spent. So there is functionality there to use to manage volunteers. And there is actually functionality in there to maintain memberships as well. I just haven't turned it on for my use.
Okay, thank you. And can you set up acknowledgements for monthly donations?
Yes, you can. You can set up. I don't think I have that as one of my templates, right? But you can set up a template for recurring donations and have that sent out. What's great is that sometimes you don't want to send that out every single month because that's a lot of paper, but you can create a letter so that it sends that report out every year in January when they really want that tax information.
Fantastic.
The other things that I wanted to mention is that you can use Little Green Light for tracking grants. When you have a grant, we talked about those constituents. You can set up the constituents so that it is a foundation, and then you can set up. Oh yeah, that's right. You can set up a pledge. So in this case, I said the Fuller Foundation. So they say you got that grant, you can set up a pledge of 30,000, and then they have 3 installments throughout the next year. And I also scheduled a grant report as a task, so I remember to send that grant report. You can also schedule when those grants application deadlines are, and you can do that in when you schedule that task. You can set up a recurring task every year to say, oh, the Fuller Foundation applications due May 1st, and that will actually appear whenever, honestly, I don't even remember what the date was now. I have to go back and look. Oh, it was 2026. That's why. It will actually show up here. And in this case, it's going to show up on my calendar. And if you have the ability to see other people's calendars, oh, there it is, you can do that. But I also set up a team member called Grants, first name Grants, last name Grants, and everyone could see it. And all the grant information was in there. So I know we're almost done. I did want to show you the dashboard because it has a lot of information here that's fantastic about the fundraising totals year over year, retention status. It has great graphics that you can use. And what's really fun is that all of these are downloadable in a JPEG or a PNG so that you can put it in, say, your board reports if you need to. And then the last thing that I had was its incredible reporting capability, which that could be like a whole other session. So I did want to show you all the wonderful things that Little Green Light can give you, all the bells and whistles. And again, check out the pricing because it's actually really reasonable and you get $100 off with your New Hampshire Center for Nonprofit membership.